What is happening, Internet? Kwing here, and DC Comics has returned to Fortnite. And good, because today I really need to shoot stuff. That's gonna sound really weird out of context. Oh man, the day I've had today, you have no idea. Level 5, weirdos on Twitter. Ugh. At least my house looks nice. My wifey's cleaning the house. And of course, Tim Drake and Fortnite. Boo. Out of all the Tim Drake costumes that we got, why in the world would they give us the failed relaunch of the Tim Drake books that everybody hated? Like, this is like one of the worst Tim Drake costumes from one of the worst Tim Drake comic book runs of all time that was a commercial failure by a writer that was absolutely insane and didn't know anything about Tim Drake other than to further an agenda. Honest to God, crazy woman. So we can't get classic Tim Drake, we can't get Tim Drake Year 1, we can't get Tim Drake at the beginning of DC Rebirth, we have to get Soy Drake. Really? Whatever. At least DC's back though, right? So we're gonna check out the, what is it, the Battle Pass? There's Superman. So how do we unlock how do I have 5,000 points? Way to go, Switch. I don't even know how that's possible. That's cool. That's cool, that's cool, that's cool. How do we do the Battle Pass? How do we look? I want to see the Battle Pass. Okay, so we got, there's Battle Pass, there's Tim Drake. Superman rewards. Okay. Unlocks on July 11th. That's right around the time the Superman movie comes out, right? Yeah? I just typed Fortnite. I wouldn't call me a saint, Gamewing. I am hunting these people. I just haven't caught them yet. Wouldn't say that I'm a nice guy. You know, these people did horrible actions against us, and I want revenge, but I just haven't gotten them yet. Revenge in the sense of getting them arrested and ruining their life, not like, you know, committing the same things against them that they do to me. I want them to suffer, but suffer legally. Anyway, so this is Tim Drake, Timothy Drake. This is Nintendo Switch 2. You can see it runs much faster. I don't know what this is comparable to, like, PS4 or not, though. I don't remember what the character models looked on Switch, like how bad it was. If anybody's playing this on PS5 or Xbox Series S, like, how does the graphics look? Does anybody know, or no? So we've got Tim Drake's weird costume thing. I don't know what this is. Some type of classic colors. Green. It's an extendable cape, I guess. Vanishing Boy Wonder. We got some of this. Cool. V-Bucks. There it is. There's, wait, then that's supposed to be red? That says Red Robin's wings. Why are they not, why aren't they red? That's not, I mean, that's a cool glider. It is, but that's the wrong color. That's not Tim Drake. That's Dick Grayson's pose. Leave your mark, the Boy Wonder. Boy Wonder is Dick Grayson. That is not Tim Drake's call sign. I don't even think Stephanie called him Tim Drake, or called him Boy Wonder. I don't believe so. We've got, there's Robin. Grappling foes. Interesting picture. There he is! There's the new 52 Tim Drake Red Robin. Okay. Alright, that's doable. So they do have one good costume in this. That's the new 52 Tim Drake. Red Robin. I still prefer his original Red Robin costume from the, you know, pre-Flashpoint, but, I mean, this is much better than Soy Drake. Much better. Elbow pads, really? Really? Really, Tim? Why? Look at his face. His face even looks, like, so effeminate. Anyway. And we got classic Tim Drake from the new 52. I will use this skin. I will buy this skin so I don't have to look at the other one. Classic Robin R from the 90s. The Tim Drake that we all grew up with. That was awesome. Birdarang Dropper. That's kind of cool looking. Red Robin's cape. There we go. There it is. That's nice. That looks like a robin. There you go. Red Robin's wings. Red Robin, it gives you wings. Okay, so we do get classic, pre-flat, or, New 52 Tim Drake. Okay, that's cool. It's a cool picture. And, of course, New 52 Tim Drake costume. Much better. Much better. I know a lot of people didn't like this costume, but I prefer this Tim Drake costume to the, you know, the one from his failed, relaunch. Because it is a failed costume. It's a failed book. It's a failed everything. They ruined Tim Drake. I hope they're happy, because now Tim Drake is a joke. Tim Drake became a meme in Teen Titans Go. That's how bad DC screwed up Tim Drake. You ruined the greatest Robin ever, when you could have messed with Damian. But no, you had to do Tim Drake. You had to break up Tim and Stephanie by text. They were in a relationship for years, and you had him be a coward and text her. Shame on you, DC. Shame on you. Shame, 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 shame. What a coward. That is not the Tim Drake I grew up with. So here we have regular Tim. I'm going to wear this. I think out of protest, I'm not even going to look at the other Robin. I'm just... Yeah, we're just doing this. Go, go, go. Da, 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 da.
It's like, what did I... He says...
Wait.
Here we go. He says, you said out of protest, I'm not even going to play as the other Tim. I was just thinking of Little Shop of Horrors. He said, what did I ever do to you? He said, it's not. It's what you did to her.
Yeah. 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 Da, 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 da. Okay. There we go. So, at least now we have a new 52 Tim Drake. Hooray! You can buy the bundle, 1800 bundle, to get Superman? Really? There we go, I feel better. Now we won't make fun of Soy Drake. We're just going to talk about new 52 Tim Drake. Because I know people don't like this costume, right? But, I mean, it wasn't bad. Was the Red Robin run of the new 52 anywhere as good as the pre-Flashpoint? No, of course not. You know, Tim Drake was a character that we grew up with. And he was more of a hardened detective, and he was going through an emo phase. You know, when he was Red Robin, he was very upset that Damian was Robin for, you know, Dick Grayson's Batman. And Tim went a little AWOL, but those were great Robin stories. Then in came the new 52. They changed up Timmy a little bit, not to the extent that they did later on, mind you, but, you know, he wasn't as confident as a Tim Drake as the pre-52 was. So I didn't really like new 52 Tim Drake anyway. But, I mean, at least they're giving people another costume choice that's not too bad. This is authentic to the new 52. And you can see he has the pre-Flashpoint emblem, the Red Robin emblem on his, you know, on his shoulder. So, you know, it is what it is. Let's check out more of the Battle Pass. Nobody likes Tim Drake. Tim Drake. Battle Pass. You know, I think this music is very fitting for having Tim in Fortnite. It's like very like kind of like edgy and like da 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 da. I like it. It's intense. It's fun. So I don't know who this girl is. She's new. Storm's Ma. Common Room picture. Okay. Cheerbolt. Interesting. Storm's Beast. V-Bucks, Cheer Bag, Storm Beast Snap. Whoa, okay, didn't see that coming. That's kind of interesting. Cheerbolt, Storm Beast Lull, Varsity Cheer Bag. So she's like a superpowered cheerleader that turns into a werewolf? Sure, why not? Storm's Maw again, freaky picture, and Varsity Colors. Okay. Alright, so cheerleader power, go. Chameleon person. the Supernovas, so they're like a superhero team, I gather. Potted Plant, Skateboard, like that dude from Ninja Turtles, more V-Bucks. Ziggy's Insignia, Ziggy himself, very chill-looking iguana, right? It's an iguana, right? Yeah. Homegrown something, banner icon, 100 V-Bucks, Zig Art, Midnight Skateboard. Again, I keep thinking of that one character in Ninja Turtles, the one with the skateboard. The more I keep looking at this character, it's like, it reminds me of that dude with the skateboard in 1987 Ninja Turtles. I'm just getting that vibe from him. Some picture, we got this all, like, black mushroom man thing. Okay. Frequency Flyer looks pretty cool. Synthwave Insignia. Some type of, what is that, a cape? Interesting. Banner icons, Soundwave Slashers, Soundwave Synth. Her name is Soundwave or Synthwave? What is her name? Very glowy. Too much glow for my taste. Synth Drop. That. V-Bucks. Dancing. Oh, wait. Do I have to turn off all the copyrighted music and stuff? Probably. Dorm Life. Okay, so superheroes in a dorm. That's doable. I like that. That's less flashy. Casual Synthwave. I think that's kind of cool. I can dig that. Okay. Targeted Focus Man. The Eliminator. Okay. Hunter's Knife. Whatever that is. Okay. Why does he look like Geoforce, though? He looks like DC's Geoforce. He's got the same color scheme, green and black. But he's not Geoforce. Okay. What is this dude's name? I can't see because of the party request. Kill Switch is his name. Okay. Hunter Knife. Steam. Demote. Yep. V-Bucks. Cool. Banner icon. I like that backpack. That's actually kind of cool looking. Another cool comic book thingy. So how many years has it been since DC's been in Fortnite? That's what I'd like to ask you guys, because I don't know. Eliminator Kill Switch. We got a Res board. Light Raider. Some type of weapon. Ray of Light thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's a stream after this, Soul Calibur, baby, and then I'm doing another stream. I mean, it's your house. You can sit in on whatever you want. This character doesn't look too bad. No, honey. When we got married, everything we had became ours. That's how it works. Our house, our cats. I don't own anything.
Everyone. Hi, Spider Keith. Hi, Luke.
In fact, if you divorced me, I wouldn't own anything. You take everything.
That's not true.
That's what the courts would do.
That's not true.
If you don't have a prenup, a man is screwed. It's true. Let's see. That's kind of a cool outfit. I don't know what that is. A rocket.
How much stuff would you say I would get?
Oh my gosh. We're not having this conversation.
I was just wondering, theoretically.
In court, they tend to side with the woman, so the woman would get everything. Car, the house, the cats, game systems that you've already said you'd sell them all anyway if I wasn't around. So, yeah. I'd get the clothes on my back, probably. Dark Rider.
So in a way, it's my house then.
In a way, yeah. My Twitch hit affiliate. Congratulations, Adam. Thanks
Great
for your
job.
support of the channel all these years.
Thank you, Adam. You're breathtaking. Congratulations for being a Twitch affiliate.
So we have somebody called Arcane. I mean, they already have Raven in this game, but basically she's Raven. She's like Fortnite's version of Raven. Arcane. You can see that. Rookie Training, Cursed Tom, whatever that is, Tomfoolery. Wings of Mist.
And
Banner icon. Morgan Mist. She's Raven.
why didn't they just have Raven?
No, they have Raven. Look, she even turns all red like Raven.
Weird.
Like, in Raven's Trigon state, she turns all red, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We got whatever, Mischievous Morgan. Harley Quinn, checkered thing. Whatever that is. She's like a vampire, or what is she? Dragon Darkfire Claws. Yeah, look at that. I mean, come on. That's her banner. That's her banner. It's Raven.
Why didn't they just have it as Raven instead?
There we go. Trigon Raven. Okay, so teach me how to get Superman, guys.
I thought...
They said there's a way for me to unlock Superman.
They said if you get the bundle.
Okay, so how do I get the Superman bundle?
I think you're supposed to go to the eShop.
eShop?
Or the shop.
Okay. Teach me your ways, Internet.
I think they meant the Tim Drake bundle. I think that was the bundle with Tim.
There was a bundle with Tim I had to pay for? Go to the shop. There's a bundle in the shop. Okay. But I already have Tim Drake through the Battle Pass, so... Alright.
Just go to the...
This right here? 25 Battle Pass rewards to unlock Super... This is what you want me to do? Fortnite Super?
That was it.
What? On the Superman thing? That's...
Yeah, the Superman bundle. That's what
Okay, so what do I do? 1800. Just like this? It unlocks Superman? Really?
That's what it says. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't even see Superman here.
I don't...
Let me look around. That's not Superman.
I don't think that that's possible, guys. I think they're just false advertising on the shop.
Yeah, I don't...
Guys, I don't think that it's gonna give it. I think they're saying you'll unlock him eventually if you spend 1,800, 1,000 times.
Buy a bundle of 25 rewards at reduced price.
Yes.
So how do you get 25 rewards? It wouldn't be 1,800.
I don't think that it's gonna give you Superman. And I don't have any extra cash in the account. Like...
No, it's real. Just click it, like now. Okay. No, don't click it.
Luke, last time you listened to people, didn't you almost get a copyright strike and get your channel taken down? And you're still listening to people in the chat?
You unlock him early if you get 25 levels. Well, that's not 25 levels, is it?
Yeah,
Wait, is that 25 levels? The rewards will be bought automatically.
Why would you randomly get him if you unlock 25 levels?
He'll show up after you do it.
I don't believe anyone.
Battle Pass unlocked. Oh!
Well, I guess I was wrong.
I guess you sit corrected, wife. Superman! Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Well, he has...
There he is. So I guess we'll have to do a Superman stream tomorrow.
You know what those look like? Shorts that people wear when they play volleyball.
He doesn't look too bad. I mean, he looks much better here than he does in James Gunn's Superman. Like, the costume looks nice here. It doesn't look... It looks too padded with David Cornsweet wearing it in the photos that we've seen. It looks like a man who is wearing a suit that's too big for him. That's what Superman looks like. In all the photos and video things I've seen, the Superman costume here looks great. Looks like it actually is sculpted to fit him. But every image I've seen of Superman, like the new movie, his super suit looks like it was made for somebody bigger than him, like Henry Cavill. And he's just like, you know, wearing a cosplay suit that doesn't fit him. It just looks really weird.
It's Henry Cavill's world and David Cornsweet is just living in it.
Yeah. Oh, look at the Superman Lego! That's cute! Super Lego! Da 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 da. Alright, we gotta get rid of the intense music. Da 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 da. The Superman cape on Tim Drake looks weird. Okay. Well, there is Superman! Superman's been unlocked early, so there will be a Superman stream in the future. Aha! Claim all. Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna put the Batman music on.
You know, it's funny, like, decades ago, the kind of, like, person that, like, would wear, like, extremely tight bicycle shorts and stuff, they wouldn't be seen as, like, what they're seen as today. They would have been called a dweeb or a dork.
Is that spoiler?
It wouldn't have been like, oh, you know... Like, oh, you look like you're, you know, a different lifestyle or something. That's not what we would have said years ago. We would have been like, this person looks like they're a dad who's wearing bicycle shorts.
I still think that Superman that was in Fortnite before actually looks better. Like I mean I can see the vision for Superman's costume now. Like what are they gonna give? They're gonna give us another Superman costume? What are they gonna give us? Like Clark Kent? Because he only has one costume in the movie. And it says Superman, it doesn't say movie Superman, so maybe we can still get Henry Cavill as Superman. Because we didn't get Henry Cavill Superman.
I know. Right?
Yeah, we didn't get Ben Affleck Batman, we didn't get Henry Cavill Superman. But yeah, I mean, personally, I don't really like this Battle Pass. Like, Tim Drake at the beginning, yeah, that's one thing. For, you know, out of respect of Tim Drake from the 90s, I bought Tim Drake. And like, I liked Tim Drake from, like, 1989 until, like, 2000 and probably 14. Like, when they almost killed Tim Drake off, like, was devastating during that Detective Comics, like, DC Rebirth run, and then he was kidnapped by aliens, but the Tim that came back was crazy. And then, you know, what happened to Tim Drake in that, from that crazy lady just, like, basically killed off Tim Drake for me for good. Like, I still will love and remember all the great stories, the Robin stories by Chuck Dixon and stuff like that, but Nightwing is my Robin. And Damian I'm getting used to. Although I still don't like Damian.
You have to make it public.
I had to be public? How do I do that?
You just go to plus.
My plus? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now just go to your icon.
Here? Me?
No,
It says online.
Okay.
Invite only? What do I do?
You want to click that to public.
Friends. Okay.
Yeah, friends. And then matchmaking, you want to go to public.
Okay.
And
There?
then looking for party, you want to go on.
Where is that?
Looking for party is the fourth one from your
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, so we're good now?
There we go. Yep.
All right. Okay, we're cool.
Now you can have people join.
Now we can have people join us. All right, we're playing on Switch too for the first time with this. What do you guys think Superman's second style will be? You think it'll be Clark Kent, or you think it'll be something else? Ooh, that was crazy. Okay, that was close. That was close. This video might get claimed though, so we'll have to remove that section anyway. So, all right, Hush era, Chuck Dixon's Run 90s, Hush era 2000, New 52.
Link's like, what was the problem? He's like, he was like, what about my cute little meows? Are they copyrighted? No.
Hi.
They're not, because they're an original work.
Alright guys, here you go. Who is your favorite Tim Drake? This is the options. This is your options. Chuck Dixon Run, 90s, Hush and Flashpoint, New 52, DC Rebirth. If you say DC Rebirth, I'm banning you. No. You think I'm playing. No. Still doing what? No, it's not. We don't hear any copyrighted music.
No, there's just somebody's dancing, but you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
Hence the copyright music as well.
Yeah, but I don't hear the Batman music anymore that I had. There it is. Bum 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 bum. Oh wow, it gets rid of the lobby stuff now.
Well, yeah. I guess.
No, you didn't hear anything. There's nothing there.
There is nothing present.
Nothing present and accounted for, yep. Yep.
Oh, sorry, I better not go right. Now we got the music off, I start singing it.
Yeah, now the music's on in Amber's.
Man, I sounded so weird on my interview today. I was just talking. I just kept talking. I was so freaking nervous. They're like, do you have any hobbies? I was like, Said, well, I do like to practice music, but sometimes people in the apartment next to me get upset. I was like, what am I saying? Why am I randomly talking about random stuff? I am crazy when I am nervous.
It's okay.
I don't know why I can't just be a normal person.
Where's the Ninja Turtles bow staff? Deep dab. No. Cleaning up Tim Drake's career. So for fun, I went to Google. And, you know, Google has a whole AI thing. This is what happens if you type Tim Drake.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. This is great. This is AI robot.
Oh, no.
Watch this, watch this, watch this. This is great.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Does Tim Drake still have a solo comic book? This is what AI says about Tim Drake.
Wow.
No, this is great. No! Tim Drake does not currently have a solo comic book series. He previously had a short-lived series called Tim Drake Robin, but it was canceled due to low sales, and it was a failure. While he sometimes goes by Red Robin or Robin again, he's even been called Drake, he's known for lacking consistent Homer identity within the Batman family.
Wow.
Once considered a popular Robin, fans don't like him anymore.
Oh my god.
That is an AI overview of Tim Drake.
Wow, that is so savage.
Canceled due to low sales. Yup, because everyone hated it.
Wow.
Thank you, AI. See, AI's not all bad.
It's just telling it matter of fact. That sounds so savage. It must sting so much.
Yeah, pretty spot on. I mean, you had a lady who came in. She knew nothing about Tim Drake. She just wanted to change an established DC character, which should have been Damian, because Damian was a clean slate. But whatever. She had Robin break up with his girlfriend by text, and they were together forever. And she literally mourned his death. And when they came back, they went to college together. They were living together. He cheated on her with a man. And then he didn't tell her. He texted her that they were breaking up.
Wow.
And he was living with her at college.
Wow. He texted her while he was living with her? Oh my god.
Yep, he dropped out of school. He wore biker shorts. He dressed like a person that was a member of the Village People. He had a complete personality change, and people dropped the books faster than you can say New York Minute. That was it. And then whatever reputation he had left, he appeared in the Young Justice books. That was basically a character assassination of the 90s run. And, like, they went through and they made fun of the 90s with, like, Connor Kent, Tim Drake, Cassie. And they had this, like, author who obviously was a little kid during the 90s. She didn't experience the great joys of, like, the Young Justice books, which were peak.
Right.
She went in, she smeared everything about them, the toxicity of the 90s. That didn't exist. It existed in their minds. Right, exactly.
I don't remember any toxicity.
And then that book got canceled.
Toxicity in the 90s?
So Tim Drake has now been sidelined to a character that occasionally appears in other people's comics.
Wow.
He doesn't have his own comic. He's not a popular character anymore. He's a joke.
Wow.
Yep, that's what happened to Tim Drake. Womp womp. Womp, 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 womp.
Wow. That's crazy.
But it was so satisfying to see him fall. Because it was like, you know...
Vindication.
Oh yeah, it was. It was kind of like, you know...
Because it's like...
Because all these people said, oh, we can go and we can do whatever you want with your established characters and we won't suffer any repercussions. So the fact that the book got canceled, the lady got fired, it was so satisfying.
Yeah, because it shows, I mean, it's sad what happened to Tim Drake, but it's like it shows that you can't just change an established character like that so drastically.
Here's the crazy thing.
Expect people to still buy it.
The crazy thing is, Damian was a clean slate. He never had an established relationship. You know, if you were going to poke around with a Robin and mess up their dating preferences, it should have been Damian. Everybody agrees it should have been Damian. He should have been that Robin. Because he was still relatively new. And Grant Morrison doesn't really care, but the people who wrote Tim Drake in the 90s and the 80s, and even the 2000s, they 100% cared.
Yeah, because he was with Stephanie.
Exactly! You also furthered a stereotype that, you know, you completely destroy your old life and leave everybody in your previous life hanging. Like, he dropped Stephanie with a text. And then the writer made it so that Stephanie couldn't even mourn the loss of the love of her life because she had to accept what he became. So she had to basically, like, you know, hug him and say, this was the best day of my life, having my life destroyed by you. You know, so it was horrible. It was like they were having to live through this, you know, oh, it's okay, we did this, no one can hate us for it. It's like, you are going to have people mad at you for doing stuff. There's no, yay, he's living his best life ever.
He could have done it in a better way.
Like, there needed to be,
like...
if there was repercussions for what he did, like if Stephanie, like, literally punched him in the face, I think a lot of fans would have been satisfied with that, because no girlfriend is going to be okay with you dumping her in favor of being with the same sex. Like,
yeah,
that, she's never going to be okay with that. You're living in a delusional land if you think that. They were together for decades.
If my guy cheated with me with a girl or a guy, I would be the same amount mad.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Like, why would it matter? Oh, I cheated on you, and I hate, you know, our relationship is over, and I care nothing for your feelings. Oh, man, I hate you so much. Oh, but it's with a guy. Oh, then it's fine. Oh, then it's perfectly fine. No, it's fine. It doesn't... It's okay if it's with another guy. That's okay.
So the fact that the writer robbed us that satisfaction of Stephanie, like, showing Tim how much he hurt her was horrible. And these people, they live in this delusional bubble that they believe that nothing that they do harms anybody. You know, it's like everybody has to accept them or else, and you have to be happy for them for doing something that was wrong. You know? So, like, I don't think there would have been as big of a backlash if people actually got a satisfying, like, you know, reaction from Stephanie when she saw him. Because he ditched her for 6 months. He, like, completely abandoned her. Because of his new lifestyle. Like, he was so scared to talk to her. It's like, yeah, you need to be scared. She needed to kick your butt. You needed to be smacked 6 ways to Sunday for what you did. You needed to own up to what you did, because what you did was wrong. You were in a relationship with her. You were living with her. And then you just ditched her. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad that you wouldn't just randomly up and leave.
I would tell you what was going on if something like... Nothing like that would happen, but yeah, I would give you transparency and be like, hey, this is what happened. That way you don't have to just, like, you know, whatever. And that's the right thing to do. You're in the relationship with somebody, you're living with somebody, you're at school with them, and then you just have a summer fling and you decide to, like, you know, dump everything. That's not right. It's terrible. These people need to be held accountable when they do stupid stuff. You know, it can't just be a shield based on their preferences. It doesn't work that way, you know? And, you know, the fact that the writer was one of those people, it just proves. But I laughed so hard. The book got canceled after 3 issues. Everybody said it would be the best-selling Tim Drake book since the Dixon run. Chuck Dixon was like, you probably missed this, but Chuck Dixon had a counter on his website for the days until the Robin book was canceled, because he knew it was going to be canceled.
Wow.
Because it wasn't selling. So he had a countdown for it, which I thought was hilarious. Because here you have, like, the best run ever of Tim Drake. The only person that ever understood Tim Drake is the guy who wrote him the most, which was Chuck Dixon.
Right.
Chuck Dixon wrote Robin, Tim Drake, from 1991 until 2003. That's more than a decade. Not only that, did you know he was actually writing the Batman books, Justice League, JLA, and the Nightwing books at the same time? He wrote over 100 issues of Nightwing. He did 110 issues of Robin. He did 50 issues of Batman. And then he did 35 issues of Justice League. Plus, he wrote some of the Birds of Prey issues. Like, he was one of the most influential writers we ever had at DC, and they kicked him to the curb.
You know, just because, like, they felt like, oh, I found out that I don't think I may agree with you politically, even though you didn't actually do anything to get fired. I'm just gonna fire you because I think that I don't like you because of your politics. It's like, okay, that's not a reason to fire somebody.
Chuck only wrote the comic books. He never actually did any TV shows. Comic writers that ended up doing TV shows would be like Paul Dini, but Paul Dini started as a TV writer for Tiny Toons, and then he went to Batman the Animated Series, and then from Batman the Animated Series he went to comic books. And then from comic books, he went back to television. He went to Marvel, so he turned turncoat. But Marvel treated him better. So I don't really blame him for going to Marvel.
Oh, who went to Marvel?
Chuck
Dixon.
No. Paul Dini went to Marvel.
Oh.
After the incident with Arkham City, Paul Dini went to Marvel.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so like 2011, 2012, he went to Marvel. Mm-hmm. And he was involved with a lot of great things at Marvel. He was the final season of Earth's Mightiest Heroes, like the really good Avengers show with the BTS-style animation. He was a writer on that and an executive producer or something like that. He wrote several comic books for Marvel. He helped write several TV shows and pitched ideas for them. He's back at DC, kind of, but not really. Mostly, like, they get him to work on, like, graphic novels these days, Paul Dini. And Paul Dini is still angry at Warner Brothers for what they did to the Arkham franchise, because that was his baby. He orchestrated the story, and he didn't like what they did with it.
Yeah.
Take that, Soy Drake!
Well,
Satisfying.
I think Chuck Dixon has an interesting attitude where he just sits back and laughs at people.
No, Chuck Dixon became a, Chuck Dixon works in, indie comics now. He's both a writer and an artist.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, so he has work. It's just...
Oh, no, I don't mean that that's all.
Yeah. It's just, like, people still, like, they look down at him because, like, he doesn't share the same political beliefs of the, you know, the current establishment.
Yeah, but I was like, what does that have to do with his comic book writing?
It has nothing to do with his comic book writing because, as far as I can remember, the only things I ever saw Chuck Dixon do about his religious beliefs and his political beliefs, in one of the Nightwing issues, there's a DC Talk poster. This is in the 90s. And Nightwing picks up a Gideon Bible when he is a police officer, but it's not his Bible.
But literally...
He finds it on the street.
But, so they have a problem with...
But that's all...
having...
That's in everything that Chuck did, because he related most to Nightwing. Out of everything that Chuck did as a Christian and as, like, a conservative or whatever, the only thing that he did in the 90s to Nightwing is Nightwing in some issues, which they've... If you get the new issues nowadays, like when they do the reprints, they change the poster, but he used...
Wow.
He used to have a cross in his house.
But that's weird because actually, you know, like, Batman even was leaning somewhat Catholic.
Yep, he used to have a cross in his house, like, because, you know, Catholic stuff. And he used to have a DC Talk poster from, like, 1994 until, like, 96. That you would occasionally see in some issues of Nightwing.
But literally, what about people that are actually fans of DC Talk who ended up becoming fans of Nightwing because of that?
But here's the funny thing. Did you know that even though Chuck Dixon was a believer, he still wrote Batman as an atheist?
Oh, wow.
So he wrote Batman as an agnostic. Even though Batman had seen, like, all these gods and monsters and, you know, stuff, while he did believe in it, he didn't accept it. So even though... That's the difference between today's writers and writers in the past. Is writers in the past, if they were given a character to write, they had a responsibility to continue the legacy of the character that had been established. So they wouldn't interject their beliefs and their politics. They might do subtle changes. Like, maybe Batman wasn't super atheist in the 90s, but he was still, you know, whatever. Nowadays, it's like, every writer that comes in, they have to put their own personal stamp on the character to make that character relatable to them. Whereas in the past, you know, people would be like, okay, you know, I'm a Christian, I'm writing Batman, but Batman is an atheist, so I need to write the way that an atheist would talk about, like, for how Batman would deal with this supernatural entity and things like that. You know, because you're respecting the legacy. of what you've been given. It's
you're
like
writing the character. You're not writing yourself into the
yeah, it's exactly what Henry Cavill said. You are a steward to these characters, and what you do, what you say, how you behave, impacts the legacy of the character that you are. He was Superman, so Henry, while he had the cape, and people still perceived him as Superman, he acted a certain way.
Yeah.
That he doesn't do anymore because there's a new Superman.
It's hilarious that people get rid of people like Chuck Dixon, who really hardly ever even, you know, he didn't even insert his own beliefs into the characters he was writing, yet they keep people on that do insert their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And Chuck Dixon is the problem, okay?
Right, but this is why I hate modern comics. Like comics like the past 15 years, it's like I miss the subtlety of it. Like today we have the subtlety of a nuance of a jackhammer. Like when people talk about certain things, they have to repeat the point over and over and over again, like they're taking a nail and hammering it into your head over and over and over and over and over. Whereas before, like in the 70s, there was a character that had a drug problem, Speedy. They brought it up in a couple issues, and it was an important, like, overarching story, but that wasn't the general focus of the superhero book. It's like, yes, Speedy became a drug addict, but the writer and the artist weren't constantly showing you, you know, him, like, shooting up drugs and all this other stuff. He was a recovering drug addict, and it was a part of his character, but it wasn't, like, the entirety of his character.
Yeah, it was like one aspect of it.
It happened, it's brought up on occasion, and people are like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was bad, or, you know, poor Speedy, something like that. But it didn't become the whole, like, revolving around...
Yeah, the whole focus.
What happened with Tim, everywhere Tim goes now, because they changed him, always revolves around his sexuality. Every aspect of Tim Drake, it's always brought up, whatever writer is, whatever guest spot, whether he shows up in a Nightwing book... He's there to be reaffirmed by his family. You know, all this other stuff.
He can't have anything else.
He has no identity outside of it.
He can't even, like, do cool superhero stories or anything.
Yep, there is no Tim Drake outside of his change. It's just your typical stereotype now. And as someone who was a Tim Drake fan their whole life, I was a Tim Drake fan for like 30 years. It was heart-wrenching because he was a character that I related to. Like, he was smart, he wasn't as... you know, martial art heavy as other people. I learned the bow staff in martial arts because Tim Drake and Donatello used a bow staff.
Yeah, if they were gonna have Tim Drake change teams, then maybe they should have just been like, okay, he's, you know, batting for the other team now. Like, now let's move on with his life. Like, oh, okay, so he's batting for the other team. That happened. Okay, so let's see what Tim's gonna do with his genius idea to take down
here's the thing.
Scarecrow.
They say that he's for both men and women, but he's been with the same guy for 5 years now. Like, there hasn't... If he really is into that, then he would be cheating on his guy friend with a girl. Like, they swap all the time if they're in the middle. But he's been with the same dude for 5 years now. Because it happened in 2020. It's been 5 years.
Yeah, which means that...
Oh, wait, no. 2023.
It tells me that he's really not...
They started the road to changing him in 2020, and then by 2023 is when they actually pulled the trigger, I believe. So it's been 3 years. Almost 4. But my argument has always been, like, if he still likes women, it's like, why hasn't he cheated on his boyfriend? It's like, well, because he's the one. It's like... But wasn't he living with Stephanie? Wasn't he going to marry Stephanie before this other writer came in? And the thing is, I would love to write for DC, because immediately what I would do is I'd switch Tim back. I'd have him cheat on Bernard with a girl, and, you know, have Bernard heartbroken and be like, what? I like both girls and guys. What's the problem? I'm just doing what the writer said. You know? And then if people shame me, it's like, what are you shaming me for? It's like, he has an attraction to both, so what's there a problem with him being with a girl now? He was with a guy for 3 years, now he's with a girl for 2. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you could be like, you said he likes both.
You said he likes both. You didn't come... You were too much of a coward to say that he prefers only one type. You know?
They wanted to just say he switched teams,
but they
couldn't because they want to please every side. And also, the reason why they said that he likes both is because is because so when people are like, "Oh, I see you changed him," and they're like, "No, we didn't.
He was still with Stephanie.
He's always been like this. He
Yeah.
just discovered it." And also, we're not changing him. Now he has more opportunities to be with more different people. He can do anything. He can be with girls. He can be with guys. Whatever. So literally, like that, they literally did that to answer the fan backlash before it began.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing a preemptive strike to answer the fans.
But the thing is, the fans of Tim Drake have brought this point up, like, 100%. It's like, Damian was an open canvas. Like, Damian, like, if you were going to do anything to the modern Robin, that would work perfectly with a lot of people, because, you know, Damian is still... He's still being, like, discovered, like, as he goes. Like, more aspects of his personality, of his past, of, you know, his life, his hobbies. Everything is still being charted out, because he's a pretty young character. He's, like, 20 years old, right? Mm-hmm. That's the character everybody wanted to happen, because, like, you know, he's the newest Robin. Plus, he's actually Batman's son, so that would be a bigger win for them, because it's like, it came from Batman's actual DNA. But nope, they wanted to take an established Robin that was considered the best, and they tried to, you know, mess with it. So, I mean, I've been boycotting Tim Drake stuff now for at least 3 or 4 years. The only Tim Drake stuff I buy is, like, Chuck Dixon run, because Chuck Dixon I appreciate. I like that he stood up for the character that he helped create and all this other stuff, because it takes a lot of stones to, you know, basically tell the establishment, hey, you know, I wrote this character for 10 years, 11 years, he wasn't like this, and the Tim Drake that you're telling me that I wrote about was always like this. No, he wasn't. So the fact that Chuck stood up for his, like, semi-creation is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
I respect that.
Most people can't even stand up against a game company's decision to copyright strike someone.
Yeah.
But he can stand up against all of Warner Brothers. That shows that guy does have more.
Yeah. So basically, how I look at it, you know how there's like a DC multiverse? So I view the pre-Flashpoint era and the 0 Hour era as like a separate DC continuity. So the Tim that we lost in Convergence, that was the Tim Drake. He and Stephanie were married. You know, they were there at the end of the world. That's my Tim Drake. Every Tim Drake that I've seen since then has just been a multiverse variant, and I don't really care for. Like, it's, you know? So it's like, I'll always have the 90s Robin, and I still have all those books. I have the graphic novels. I have all those fond memories. You know, I took martial arts because of that Tim Drake. I tried to do better in school because of that Tim Drake. Because, you know, he was very smart. And I tried to learn computers, but I couldn't learn computers.
Yeah, like, I feel like Tim Drake is the Donatello of the Bat family.
Of course he is.
So it's like, why couldn't they focus on that? Like, oh, okay, so he's switching teams, or now he's working for both teams, whatever.
Switch hitter.
Okay, so, yeah, so now he's working.
Baseball terms.
He's working for every team at once, all the time.
Tom Arnold. No.
He's always on a different team. He's working for every team at the same time. Anyways, so now let's move on. While he's working for all those teams, he sure has time to work for a lot of teams at one time.
But
all I'm saying is, while he's doing that, why doesn't he do his nerd Donatello stuff at the same time? Where's his inventions? Where's his smart stuff? Like, let's go back to Tim Drake, and where's his personality?
He's too busy going to parades and, you know, not paying attention to all the... Like, it's one thing. If they would have actually... I think a lot of the backlash, like, years ago could have been avoided, too, if he actually acted like he was somewhat intelligent and confident in combat again, but it just continues to further a terrible stereotype.
He should be like... Yeah, they should have a parody Tim Drake comic, like...
They do. Tim Drake is a joke. Like, Teen Titans Go makes fun of him all the time.
Oh, wait. There is a parody Tim Drake comic. It's his comic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, his failed comic book. It's great. Like, when people always say... I love doing this on Twitter. People are like, you know, Tim Drake is a very popular character. I'm like, oh, really? So I always hot link them to the article where Tim Drake's book was canceled and the author is crying. I said, yep, popular characters have comic books canceled. Not!
Yeah, he should have a book where it's like, hey Tim, there's a problem, there's a monster attacking the city. It's like, not now, I'm at a parade. It's really important. It's
Not
like,
now, I have a Pilates class!
but there's a bad guy. He's attacking people. He's gonna take over the city. It's like, I have more important things to do. I'm picking a new pair of bicycle shorts. It's like, Tim, this isn't you. It's always been me. You just never understood. It's like, but I thought you were a superhero. No, I only was one because I liked the cool skin-tight costume.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
Okay.
No,
But like I said,
know.
there's a multiverse. DC has already said there's a multiverse. They already erased our childhood several times. There's been so many, like, erasers of, the, like Flashpoint. If you really think about Flashpoint, everybody in Flashpoint died. Like, the entire universe that you grew up with from, like, 1990 until Flashpoint, Barry Allen murdered all of them. All of your favorite characters. The only survivors of Flashpoint are as follows. Tim Drake, Stephanie Brown, Superman, Lois Lane, Dick Grayson, not our Batman. I don't think Batman and Robin survived from, like, pre-convergence, because there was only a couple cities that were saved by Brainiac. Metropolis, Coast City, and Gotham. Like, those are the only Earth cities that were saved.
Who's the villain now, Barry?
So, yeah, Barry's responsible, and then Brainiac took everybody into Convergence. And Convergence, you have to remember, was for multiple Earths. It took place from pre-Flashpoint, which would be, like, the late 2000s, like, after the Blackest Night run. Then you had 0 Hour, where, you know, Nightfall Batman, Jean Paul Valley's running around like a lunatic. You had the 70s Batman universe. You had the Super Friends. You had all this other stuff. So there were Batman Bruce Wayne, but I don't think it was our Batman. I think from our universe that we grew up was just the Bat family, which was Stephanie, Dick, Tim, what's her name? Cass? I think Connor Kent, Superboy, and his girlfriend, Cassie Wonder Girl, was around, but I don't think Diana survived. Lois and Superman did. And Lois and Superman were the only survivors of the Convergence that ended up into the New 52. Like, somehow them and Super Baby, Jonathan, thanks to the guy who actually killed Superman in the 90s. Like, Dan Jurgen, I believe is his name. He wrote the Super Family books, which was really great. And it was the birth of Jonathan Kent, who was born in Convergence. And the dude who delivered him was Thomas Wayne, Flashpoint Batman. And then that Superman and Lois somehow, with their baby, ended up being transported outside of Convergence as the only survivors of the previous DC universe. And then DC got super lazy, and they're like, you know what? We're going to take the New 52 and the DC Rebirth, and we're going to fuse it into one with this whole Watchmen story. Because of, everybody remembers Dr. Manhattan, so we're going to fuse those worlds together because we're tired of fans complaining that we smushed all their DC timeline into 10 years. So we're going to give the DC heroes back their lives. But just so you know, it's not going to be the same DC heroes you grew up with. They experienced the same things, but it's not the same characters. But we want you to think they are, because we're giving you back their history. We're bringing back the Titans, we're bringing back this, we're doing this. We're getting back the lost time, but it's still not those characters that were wiped out in Convergence. Because when you really think about every character that you ever loved growing up was wiped from existence at the end of Convergence. They're all gone, except for Superman. Oops. So everybody else is just a variant. And when you think of it that way, when DC does all these, like, stupid shenanigans, it doesn't hurt as much anymore because it's like, it's not the heroes you grew up with. They don't have the same values. They don't have the same personalities.
They officially said that it's not them?
Yeah, they're all dead. Everybody that was in Convergence,
so then that's not Tim Drake anyway.
No, that's variant Tim Drake. They want you to think it's Tim Drake, but it's a variant.
Why do they want you to think it's Tim Drake?
Because
So they can sell stuff?
They're not selling anything, honey. Like, most of the Batman books...
What are you buying?
The Batman books that have Tim Drake cameo in are some of the worst-selling Batman books. Like, Tim's reputation is ruined.
But what does he actually do in the books now?
Shows up, complains about his life, complains about acceptance, talks about Bernard, helps Batman on a case a little bit.
Does Bernard fight crime?
No.
Not really?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Everybody hates Bernard. He's basically like the Paul of the DC universe. So if you don't know who Paul is the guy who married Mary Jane and had kids when she and Spider-Man were separated from a type of, like, cosmic entity. Peter and MJ were together. Peter was transported back to the Earth without her, and he went crazy trying to get back to her.
And she just moved on with her life.
She moved on. She moved on with Paul and had children with him.
Oh my god.
And Paul is like one of the worst characters that was ever created. He is the very definition of a soy boy.
What a jerk. Why would she do that?
And he always taunts Peter like, well, I ended up with Mary Jane and you didn't. And it's like, he did everything he could to get back to the love of his life, who was trapped in this, you know, post-apocalyptic world, and she ends up surviving it and marrying Paul. It's like the biggest slap in the face to MJ and Peter shippers.
They're supposed to be true love.
Exactly. So then what Marvel did, this is the best revenge, actually. So the Ultimate Spider-Man books, where Peter and MJ are married with their own kids, is some of the top-selling Spider-Man books Marvel has made in a decade.
Oh, wow.
So all the really lame Spider-Man books, like the ones that people hate Paul and stuff like that, undersell the Ultimate Spider books where Mary Jane and Peter Parker are a married couple with kids.
So Bernard is Paul.
Bernard is Paul, yes.
That makes sense. No, I understand.
Also, DC killed Alfred. Alfred's been dead for like 4 years now. No Alfred still. We've had the ghost of Alfred. We've had the ghost of Alfred, but we haven't had Alfred.
Yeah,
and they're like, they keep saying to us, this death is going to stick. No, this death will stick until you're forced to reboot DC again. But I don't think that DC can reboot anymore because there's no one to buy their books anymore. If they reboot again and they make changes, the weirdos that are supporting them won't support their next run. Most of the pull listers and people our age who grew up reading DC Comics, they don't read comic books anymore. They watch they read manga, or they play video games, or they do other things. Like, DC lost, they will never admit it, but they lost millions of people because of what they did to Tim.
I feel like people have Pauls in their own life. Like, I feel like we have a family member who had a great marriage. Like, we know a family that had a great marriage for years, and 3 beautiful kids, and then the wife was just like, one day was like, I don't feel happy anymore. I'm just gonna go and marry a Paul.
Yep.
And it's like, and then the whole family was devastated.
Well, they were because that person, like, she left her kids high and dry. She was selfish. Her husband was doing everything he could to provide for her, and you know, she was mad at him because she helped him through school, which he did go and get a job in the film industry. Like, he did,
it
just wasn't good enough for her, so she basically bounced. Yeah, but her kids weren't even in junior high yet. They still depended on her, and she left.
Right.
Yeah, that's been a wound in our family for like 20 years now. And those kids never recovered either.
And it's like she didn't get that there's more at stake than just her
happiness.
I don't feel like, you know, and it's like interesting because like I watch a lot of like YouTubers that talk about relationships online, and they say that guys are actually more likely to stay in a relationship regardless if they're happy or not than girls. Like, women are more like, oh, I don't feel the warm fuzzy feeling anymore, so I'm just gonna leave. Whereas guys are kind of like, they look at it more like, this is my responsibility, I made a promise, I'm in here for the long run. Like, I don't care if I'm happy, I don't care if you know, I don't care if my wife makes me sit there at Macy's like for 2 hours and I hate going there. This is my wife, and I said yes, so I'm stuck here. And that's how guys see it, whereas women are more likely to just go.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it
and
created,
it's wrong.
It
though.
created a vacuum too, because those kids didn't even know why she did it. Like, one day, you know, she's playing with them on the playground, and then the next she's just gone.
Because in reality, it's like, I love this where people just kind of up and leave. Like, oh, well, I didn't feel happy, so I just left. It's like, well, you know, you made a promise to not only your spouse, but then in addition to that, after you have bring children into the world, you literally you are making literally a promise to them just by having children that you're gonna stay there and take care of them. Like, literally, like, you can't just bring children into the world and up and leave.
Yeah, so that's been a taboo subject in our family because that happened, like, not even long after we were married for like 3 years and it happened. Well, we haven't been married 20 years, so I mean, it's been at least 15 or because those kids because they got married. We got married in 06. They got married in 2002. I think 2002, 2003.
It just shows like these comic book people like just up and leaving. Like, oh well, I didn't feel satisfied, so I just left. It's like, well, when you do that in real life, guess what? You actually hurt people really badly. Like, when that happens in real life, you really mess people up. Like, I don't think it's a good thing for comics to be portraying people just up and leaving like that.
Yeah, and especially that he was, you know, and then you have to console them and be like, oh, you know, I feel bad that you had to leave. It's like, no, it's like, I will never forgive DC this. They literally robbed us because Stephanie has a temper. Like,
right.
Stephanie Brown has a temper. She's literally hit Tim with a brick, like in the 90s. The fact that we did not get that satisfying, like, kidney punch to Tim Drake for being a coward, for dumping Stephanie, not coming home, ditching her, all that other stuff, staying in Gotham when they were away in college together. I don't know where they were. Someplace in the fictional DC universe. They were outside of Gotham in college together. He came back. He cheated on her. All that other stuff. We were denied the satisfying, you know, conclusion to their story if Stephanie would have just kidney punched him. Or punched him in the face. Some great panel that fans could always just, like, put on their wall to show this is what happens when you cheat. You know, something. Right. But she reinforced the stereotype, oh, you did nothing wrong. I mean, I just wasn't right for you. It's like, no, Stephanie, punch the fool. Knock out his tooth.
Yeah, because it is wrong to hurt somebody like that.
Give us a great splash page. You know? Come on. It's like, I hate this reinforcing culture. It's like, stop it.
Yeah, I just don't get why people have to, like, they, like, do...
Well, here's the thing. It would have been satisfying, and then it would have been over. It's like, fans of Stephanie and Tim, and old Tim, would have had, like, we would have had a proper, like, bookend to the Tim Drake that we knew.
Right.
Instead, we had to watch this guy wallowing in pity all the time, complaining about this, that, and the other. We basically had to watch Pretender Drake, you know, on a path of self-destruction, and if we said anything on Twitter, we'd have people... I literally got swatted over the Tim Drake thing. Like, no lie. The first swatting was over Tim Drake. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or at least it started to build that up in people's minds, and then they worked together with the Hogwarts Legacy people. You know? I really believe that's what started, like, the hate campaign against me, is my stance on what I said about Tim Drake. I think that's what started it.
But they don't even get that, like, you know, to you, like, you're a married guy, and, you know, like, you kind of, like, took martial arts because of Tim, and you were kind of, like, always serious, and Stephanie was always spunky and cheerful. Mm-hmm. Luke always saw me like I was Stephanie Brown, so for Stephanie and Tim to break up, it was like Tim was breaking up with his Amber, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly.
And it made Luke very upset because he would never do that to me. You would never break up with me like that over a text.
Yeah, that was pretty, and it was a bad text. It was just like, I'm seeing some, I think he said I'm seeing a guy or something like that. And Stephanie, the thing is, a woman usually feels more betrayed if, like, it's one thing to cheat on a woman, but if you cheat on, you were straight and you cheat on a man, or cheat on a woman with a man, it's worse.
Yeah,
and the fact that we didn't get to go through those grieving steps with Stephanie, because, you know, the comic books were taken over by a regime, so you can't actually realistically show how Stephanie would be feeling with that.
Right. Yeah, because women see that as extremely threatening because basically...
Well, it's the ultimate betrayal.
I mean, not only that, but like, girls can kind of understand, like, oh, I see some other, you know, hussy, like, you know, was, you know, batting her eyes at you and you accidentally made a mistake and you messed up. But it's like, but from what I've heard, like, even like around the water cooler and stuff, hearing other women talk about it, every woman that I've ever heard talk about that has said basically, like, if a guy cheats on his girlfriend or wife with a man, it's basically saying like that you as a woman are so, like,
worthless,
difficult to deal with, worthless, not pretty, and women are supposed to be basically like comforting and feminine and sweet and kind and gentle, and they're supposed to be all safe with you. Like, basically what they're saying is like that, you know, they feel that basically they're saying that they think a man is more feminine than you. That's what they're basically saying.
Right. So if they would have actually gone out the steps, like Stephanie mourns Tim, she confronts Tim, then there would have been a process of healing for comic book fans of both Stephanie and Tim. And what comics did is they took that away from lifelong fans and made it like this very unbelievable acceptance thing that would never happen. Like, if their argument is comic books is supposed to mirror real life, based on Stephanie Brown being a hothead, she needed to punch him. It needed to be a beautiful splash image where she punches him so hard to mimic that scene where Batman knocks out Dick Grayson's tooth. Like, it needed to be something to that extent. And then she needed to say, I don't forgive you and I never want to see you again. Like, that would make sense, because then Stephanie can move forward, the Stephanie Brown that we knew, because the Stephanie Brown that we got afterwards is unrecognizable because she's just an ally now. She's just, like, completely unfazed.
She had no backbone.
No backbone, no personality, no nothing. She still revolved around Tim Drake, but now it was that of, like, the best friend of the whatever. It was just, it's stupid. Like, if their argument is life is supposed to mirror what happens in the comic book, then the fallout needed to happen.
She had no self-respect for herself.
Exactly.
To demand respect and be like, you did this to me and that wasn't okay. Like, but she was just like, you did this to me, but I'm a piece of trash and I'm worthless, so this is completely fine since I have no self-worth at all.
It was a psyop, basically, because they had to tell the reader that there's no problem doing this.
Because I'm a woman and I'm straight, I am worthless.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, it was a big deal, and fans still make fun of it to this day because it was stupid. It's like only the lowest type of scum in the world breaks up with their girlfriend through a text. Like, it is, if you're going to break up with somebody, you know, a phone call, yeah, I guess, but it's always better to do it in public. Specifically in public so they don't throw a scene. Like, if you take them to a nice restaurant or you just are out to eat or something, chances are they're not going to wall out in public, you know? But, like, a text is just so disingenuous. Like, it's wrong. It's like dating etiquette, like, 101, do not do that. Because that makes you look like such a scummy person. So, you know, it just, There was just so many things going against it. I was just kind of like, oh gosh, yeah, Tim is dead. So it's like, what I did that day, I went and I read Convergence all the way through again, like the finale of our Tim Drake. And he was sitting there on the couch, snuggling with Stephanie, and then the world got erased. And I was like, you know what, there's my closure. That's the end of Tim Drake. This guy's just a pretender.
I mean, but DC even said he's not the real Tim Drake.
No, they're trying to say he's the real Tim Drake now. Well, he has memories of the 90s. It's like, he's just seeing, like, past variants of himself in his mind. It's like, you know, any writer could explain that. Because they basically, they leech onto the multiverses too much. Like, the multiverses was a thing, yeah. But, I mean, when I was a kid, they erased the multiverses because they realized how much of a crutch it was. So with Crisis on Infinite Earths, they destroyed the multiverse. They fused it into one Earth, right? Earth Prime.
Yeah.
Then, because they missed the sales in 1993, they did what's known as Zero Hour, where they had all these different people popping up that were supposed to be dead, and they called them ghosts of the multiverse.
Oh,
and then somehow these ghosts ended up becoming human again, somehow. And then we had the DC Elseworlds books, which were all these stories that popped up. That's how we got Gotham by Gaslight. That's how we got all this other stuff, is they were Elseworld stories in the multiverses. But the difference was the main Earth continuity didn't know the multiverses existed anymore. So it was fine. So DC could still have their cake and eat it too. They could still be like, I want to do a story of medieval Batman. Okay, I'm going to make an Elseworld story.
But, yeah, I mean, I think basically what they did was to show how valuable, like, they're saying, like, when they made the relationship with Tim and Bernard, they're saying this is such a valuable thing. This relationship is extremely valuable. So how are we gonna make this valuable? We're gonna make Stephanie into a piece of trash that everyone spits on. And her relationship.
We're gonna make Stephanie a doormat that just accepts everything.
Not only Stephanie as a character as a doormat, but also her relationship was. Stephanie is a piece of trash, and so was her relationship. She's worth nothing.
Yeah.
She's not even worth a phone call. She's not even worth going over in person. That's how much women are worth compared to batting for the other team. It's true, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, and in that regard, that's what they were saying.
Yeah, I know, but that's what they're basically saying.
That's the reason why everybody's mad at Tim, though, is because nobody got proper closure whatsoever, especially for a character people had been reading about for, like, a very long time, you know? A character that was, as Robin, he was a very smart individual. He was very, like, different than Batman and Nightwing. He did his own thing. And he used his intelligence. And what they robbed from us was not just, you know, his dating preferences, but they also completely, like, erased his entire personality. The funny thing is, when he was with Stephanie, he just acted like Tim. You know, he joked around, he did all this other stuff, his fashion didn't change. When Tim did the thing, his entire personality was wiped clean with a brand new stereotype of every other character in comic books that's like that.
I have a question. Wasn't Stephanie's dad working for the mob?
Yeah.
Then why didn't she just tell her dad on him?
Oh,
that would have been a great response. That's what I would have done.
To see Stephanie's villain arc? Yeah.
I would have been like, well, you've made your bed and you're gonna lie in it.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, unfortunately, some people do unfortunate things. Well, unfortunately, you've chosen poorly, Tim.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking that we were. We could have had a Stephanie Brown villain arc. That would have been interesting.
I would have just given a phone call and been like, by the way, Dad, been dating a guy and he just completely broke up with me over text.
I would have read a book where...
Here's his location.
I would have totally picked up a book where Stephanie Brown is trying to kill Tim Drake. That would have been amazing.
Have a nice life, Tim.
How many
make it through?
How many of you guys in the chat would have loved to read a book where Stephanie becomes the ex-lover of Tim and she tries to kill him, like as a supervillain, like a Catwoman type? I didn't even think about that. My wife just came up with that.
That's the first thing I would do.
I might not have dropped DC books if we actually had a fun villain arc for Stephanie, a justifiable one too. That would have been funny.
I mean, I would be like, well. I mean, you know, people, they get stuck coming back from work all the time, you know. It's dark. Sometimes things just go bad.
Tim just said, me. A lot of people would have read, yeah.
If I was Stephanie and my father was a mobster and Tim did that to me, I'd be like, you have chosen poorly. It's like, Dad, I haven't talked in a while. Let's get together for coffee.
Yeah, people are like, I'd read every issue. Yeah. Yeah. And then eventually we, because every female villain in the DC universe gets a redemption arc, right? So we have Stephanie try to kill Tim for a couple of years. And then she realizes, you know what? I'm over this jerk. I'm back to being a superhero. And then we can all like her again, but I would totally love her villain arc. That would have been fun. Because it would be justifiable. It totally would. Justifiable violence.
Totally. I would have at least had my dad's goons rough him up a little bit, scare him.
At least kill Bernard off, like car bomb or something. He works as a barista at a coffee place. I mean, poison the coffee or something.
Then the next day, oh my god, terrible. I don't know.
Nobody likes Bernard. It's fine.
Maybe she could just scare Bernard or something.
Nah, you gotta do like the trope, like the girlfriend in the refrigerator thing. Just like blow up the Starbucks he works at or something.
It's like,
she's a villain.
If I was gonna kill somebody off, and I was in a villain arc, I definitely would be interesting, like having Tim try to contact Stephanie and be like, "Hey, Steph, I can't find Bernard. I'm really scared." It's like, oh, you came to me in person, Tim. That's interesting. Last time you communicated to me through a text message. Interesting that you actually know where I live and took time to come by. How unfortunate that you didn't decide to make that decision last time.
To be concluded. Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Amber, you are devious. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. I could see, I would buy that. That is epic. Ooh, Amber's better than most comic book writers. Look at that cliffhanger. Like Tim on the phone with Steph. Where's Bernard? Where's Bernard? If only you would have called months ago, Tim, to be continued in spoiler episode, blah, blah, blah. Oh, sold. Okay, that was fun. Alright, guys, so that is, why Tim Drake Fortnite. We're going to do Superman tomorrow. So we're going to do one more Fortnite stream. We're going to be talking about Superman. Oh my gosh. To be concluded. Yes, wow. I mean, that would be a heck of a cliffhanger. Yeah, but... sounds like Crazy Eck villain arc. I mean, it happened in the 90s. And then what you do is, like... Because every female villain always gets their redemption arc. Because it's what happens. Then you just have Stephanie become a good guy again, and people just accept her because, girls can't be evil, right? Girls can't be bad. They can always be redeemed because they're just girls. That's what DC says for Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn have literally like murdered people. Yeah, Kyle Rayner invented refrigerator syndrome. Yeah. This stream was great. This stream was fun. So anyway, guys, next up is going to be Soul Calibur 2. And then I might end up doing another stream after that. I need to eat, though, because I haven't had breakfast at all yet. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for hanging out. I had a lot of fun talking about, like, why I hate Tim Drake. This is a thing that unites us all, It should have been Damian. They should have changed Damian. They should have left Tim alone. They should have made Weird Robin Damian, because nobody really liked Damian anyway. It would have been on brand for him, It would have been very interesting to see how they could have worked Damian into all that stuff. And Tim was already taken care of, But whatever. Fans never get what they want. It just doesn't work out that way. Comic books and TV and movies are not video games. We have no pull. We have no feedback. We aren't, they don't care. Anyway, you guys did a great job. Thanks so much for hanging out. I hope you guys will tune in for Soul Calibur. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, the dunking of modern Tim Drake. It's fun. Modern Tim Drake is a shell of his former self. 90s Tim Drake would make him, like, he would school him. 90s Tim Drake, who couldn't even fight well, would be able to beat the tar out of current Tim Drake. Easily. Just have to throw, like, hot coffee on him. Tim would freak out. Tim would be more upset about the Starbucks coffee being empty than him getting burned from it. That's all I'm going to say. Stephanie Brown will now be known as Sparrow, the hunter of Robin. Ooh! I will buy that! I will buy that book! Here's my money, DC. I want that. Sparrow versus Robin. Yes! Yes! Okay. Alright, guys. Thanks so much for watching. How is your day going? I'll be back, Sweet Cat. I'm doing Soul Calibur next. Oh my gosh. So good. You guys are amazing. I'm going to steal that idea. I'm stealing that idea. That is such a good villain name, too. My gosh. Sparrow. Luke would be a better DC writer. I would have a lot of fun. I would. It sounds like a fun storyline. I know, right, Red Hood? Alright, guys. God bless. Happy gaming. Thanks so much for watching. See you on Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur is going to be tough tonight, because remember, we are in EX mode. What does EX mode mean? Crank to 11 mode. That's what EX is. So we're done with Tim Drake. Superman is tomorrow. Superman. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Superman is tomorrow. Because he's super. Is this a Superman cape? Is that his cape? That's his cape. Look at that. Yep. So, Superman will be tomorrow's Fortnite. We hope you guys will look forward to that same time. After Mario Kart will be Superman. So, yeah. Alright, guys. See you on the next stream. Which is Soul Calibur 2. A tale of souls and swords, eternally retold. Da, 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 da.